What's going on, everybody? Almost Counts Collectibles here, and we have a really cool addition to our collection today. We have half of the SWAT Cats action figures line that we have just added to the collection. Now, these figures are fairly expensive when you try to get your hands on them. If you don't know what SWAT Cats is, it was a very cool cartoon back in the early 90s. 1993 is when it debuted. It ran for 2 seasons for a total of 25 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, and was just a very, very cool show. But what makes these figures even more collectible and sought after, aside from the fact that the show was a very cool cartoon back in the 90s, is the fact that these were the very last toys to be released by the toy company Remco. Now, Remco started in the 1940s, I believe it was. They even filed for bankruptcy, I think, in the 70s and was basically acquired by another company, but they still left the company intact. And it continued to produce toys all the way up until 1994, when the very last toys that it ever released were the figures of SWAT Cats. Now, there were 4 in total. There were the SWAT Cat characters, T-Bone and Razor. And then there was 2 villains. Now, we have 3 figures right here in front of us. I actually got 2 of Razor, which is my character to the right. This one is kind of a poor repaint custom figure of Razor. They basically threw it in for practically nothing. He is in pretty good shape, other than the fact that he just, was wore out and kind of had a poor paint job. So we're going to clean that up and give it a custom paint job. But I actually paid about $140 for these 3 figures that you see in front of you. Now, what made that price drive up quite a bit more was the fact that both T-Bone over here to my left and Razor came with their weapons. Now, that is pretty hard to find, especially weapons in very, very good condition, but they both came with their accessories. Now, if you want to try to pick up any of the SWAT Cat figures, but especially the SWAT Cats themselves, T-Bone and Razor, sealed in their packages, even with the packaging in beat up or poor condition, you're looking at anywhere from as low as $100, and that is pretty low, all the way up to $200 to $300 each for these figures. The entire set of all 4 SWAT Cat figures that were released, the 2 villains and the 2 SWAT Cats, I have seen people ask anywhere from $800-900 all the way up to $1,500 and upwards of $2,000 for the complete set of 4 sealed in their packages. Now, $2,000 is extremely steep. Those packages would have to be in pristine condition. And then I could see them realistically bringing $2,000 or more dollars. If they're sealed in their packages and the bubble and the card is beat up, which is usually the case, you're still looking at anywhere from $800 to $1,200 easy is what people are going to ask for those figures. Now, open, you can expect to pay, it's not unreasonable, $50, $60 just for one figure that is in very good condition. But if you find them with the weapons, you're looking at anywhere from $70, $80, upwards of $100 opened for one of these figures in very good shape with their weapons. Now, are they worth that? That is going to be up to you to decide. It's going to be up to how much you actually want it, but people are paying those prices. I paid $140 for the 3 figures you see, the 2 very good condition with weapon figures, and then the extra figure they threw in of Razor to kind of give a custom paint job and restore myself. So that is just kind of a, that's a brief idea of what you're looking at as far as price points for SWAT Cats. Once again, if you haven't checked out SWAT Cats or you don't know what they are, I highly suggest you go back and give it a watch. I'm pretty sure you can even pick up the DVD sets on eBay for anywhere from $30 to $35 for the complete set. Now, Remco was most commonly known for a lot of vehicles. They made a lot of toys, trucks, planes, helicopters, things like that. But, they did release action figures And you're looking at the very last action figures that company ever released before they were eventually bought out by Jakks Pacific in the mid to later 90s. But these were the last official figures or toys, period, to my knowledge, that they ever released, which is another reason why that drives that price. So you have a toy company that was around since the 40s, and these are the very last figures they ever made before going away. And then on top of that, they are figures of very, very cool characters in a very cool, cartoon TV show in the 90s. So if you're not familiar with what SWAT Cats was about or what it was, without getting too much in depth, I don't really want to do a whole review of the show. We can actually do that in a separate video. But SWAT Cats takes place in what I believe was called, if I'm not mistaken, Metro Cat City. It's basically a world of, walking, talking felines and other creatures, of course. But basically, these two figures are our heroes. We have T-Bone and Razor. And they basically are on the police force in this city. And they kind of get into trouble with their boss, the commander of the police force. And they basically, they get put on punishment duty, if you will, working in a scrapyard somewhere, kind of. So what they end up doing is taking it upon themselves to form a secret elite team of crime-fighting force, that they call the SWAT Cats. And they build their own high-tech, like airplane, supersonic, cool super tech aircraft that they use. And they basically just formed their own SWAT Cats SWAT team and fight crime on their own. So they got in trouble with their boss, weren't allowed to really do their duties anymore. So they took it upon themselves to fight the villains of the city on their own. And it's just a very, very cool show. I wish they would have brought it back. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there was even a Kickstarter that was implemented to bring SWAT Cats back. I think it raised like upwards of $150,000, but none of the networks or anything ever picked it up, or I don't think anything ever happened with it. And that's been in the last 8 to 10 years, I think that happened. So who knows, maybe one day SWAT Cats will come back, but these are the original figures of the SWAT Cat line back in the early 90s. The last figures, once again, produced by Remco with their weapons. We will take a look at them real quick. So let's go ahead and take a look at Razor. So this is Razor. As far as articulation goes, and these are in very good shape. Their joints are very stiff. So they move just, up and down at the shoulder. They also move like 90 degrees here at the elbows. The paint job on these was pretty good. I thought the detail was there and the paint quality was pretty good, but a little bit of play and stuff like that would have started to scratch. You can see some of the paint coming off of Razor's nose right there. Little minor things here or there, but overall this is in very good shape. So we actually get some movement here at the hips. They are kind of, they're slightly angled. It's not a direct outward movement. So it kind of bends inward, and then we have about a 90-degree bend at the legs right here at the knee. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Once again, Razor's accessory right here, it is basically a crossbow. So he does come with his accessory. So let's go ahead and check out T-Bone. T-Bone has the same points of articulation. We got the shoulders and the elbow joints, the hips and the knees. Now with T-Bone, and I think I've seen one other of these figures. It wasn't mine, it was someone else's. But he doesn't like to stand up very well. To get him to stand up properly, you basically just have to tilt back his right foot, I think it is, kind of like a walking pose, and he stands up just fine. But I can never get him to stand up flat-footed for some reason. I don't know. But that is T-Bone. Once again, and I'm sorry, I forgot. Their tails also have articulation. They move. Pretty sure if you wanted to, you could spin it all the way around 360. I'm not going to do that because I don't really want to wear out the joint. And then we have the accessory for T-Bone, which is basically like It's kind of like some handcuffs, and it's like kind of like a thing he puts on his fist that like shoots out rockets and stuff like that. You can kind of see the imprint of what looks like the front of a pawl on the front, but I'm pretty sure it goes kind of like this, like if he was shooting off rockets. I'd have to double check on that one though. But yeah, here's half of the SWAT cat figure line. Once again, about $140 worth, which I thought was pretty fair, including the weapons and the overall great shape that they're in. And I got a bonus figure to do some painting with myself. So that is the latest addition to our collection I wanted to share with you. We got a lot more videos coming soon. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I will do my best to get back to you. And until next time, everybody, that was SWAT Cats, and I will see you next video.